Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Fruit Punch with Jack and Cole. I'm Jack.
And I'm cool.
Uh, we have some fights to recap. We have some fights to go over this weekend, some cool news. But first, Cole, how was your weekend?
It wasn't too bad. I came to Toronto for a couple of days, and this morning I came back to school, and I had an interesting little run-in last night. We were driving to pick up a camera to film one of our short movie coming up, and on the way we saw this like giant spotlight, like near California Sandwiches, and we were like, "Are they filming a movie there?" So we pulled in and we got out of the car, and there was like trailers and they were filming a scene, except Cooper had a mask and I didn't, and Cooper's a friend of mine. And so we had to go back into the car, and we figured we'd go get the thing we needed to pick up and then come ask him if he had a mask, the guy we were picking up from, and then go back. And so we did. And the set was it said ITD3, which we kind of looked up and we figured out it was Into the Dark 3. And we put on our masks, we walked on set, and we were talking to we just figured, why not? Let's see what we could do. And we talked to I guess someone on the production team or directing team, and we were telling them how we're extras, and we were told to come here for 11:30 p.m. And they were so confused. Like, they said they only need one extra today, and then they were like talking to one another, like trying to figure shit out. And then they were calling like their, I guess, superiors, asking, like, looking to see if it was actually just one extra they needed. And me and Cooper, like, we did our best we used like sort of fake names. Like, when they asked us who our names were, Cooper was just like Harrison, and they're like, "What about you?" I'm like, "Dustin." And then
So
they
he used his middle name and you used his brother's name.
yes, and then they asked for last names, and Cooper used his last name, and then I used Hoffman. But then when she corrected, she was like, because our masks were on, she couldn't hear properly, so she was like, Hoffman. And I was just like, yeah. And then Cooper's like, no, 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 Hoffman. And
Wait,
he's
so
like,
you're Dustin Hoffman?
no, she almost thought I was. um but yeah, it was like, it was just crazy because you could tell like they believed us, because like we were very
Why would
confident
they?
about it. I don't know. And while they were trying to figure out, we did like a little side chat. We were like, I can't believe Chris fucking did this again. We're gonna have to pay for gas for no reason. It was really
Wait, so
funny.
this
And
is
then,
just in Kingston.
no, this is in Toronto. This
Oh,
was
this
last
is in
night.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it's
wait,
for
so where was
pretty,
it? By California Sandwiches?
yeah.
Well, they
And
film movies here. Like, that's not.
it
So
was a
what's
TV,
Into
it
the
was a TV
Darkness?
show.
I don't even know what that is. Into the Darkness.
It's
Should
like
I?
an no, it's like an anthology horror series. So every episode's like about a different holiday, I think, something like that. I haven't watched the show myself, but seemed pretty interesting.
Well, any faces you recognized?
No, yeah, there wasn't. It was just a fun little acting exercise almost. And
So did
speaking
you
of
end up
which,
acting?
no, of course not. We ended up saying we had like, they were still trying to figure things out, and we were just causing like, taking away their time. So we're like, you know what, forget about it. We're gonna call Chris and figure things out tomorrow. There was clearly a mistake on his part. Thank you so much for your help.
Was it
It's
just
really
you and
funny.
Cooper?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, that sounds a lot more fun than what I did last night.
What'd you do?
Uh, I don't know. I can't remember. So
Oh
maybe
wow.
that means it was good.
Must have been fun.
But yeah, uh, as you know, other movie buff and TV buff fans, there was the Zack Snyder's director's cut for the Justice League came out today. Uh,
It got pretty decent ratings. I mean,
Good
it was, I think,
reviews.
8.9 out of 10 on IMDb compared to 6.3 on the original movie. And then I believe 77% or something like that on Rotten Tomatoes compared to like
Yeah.
40% for the older movie. I mean, people seem to be liking it even on Instagram, like in the comments. So I'm gonna watch it. The only downside is I can't compare because I haven't seen the original, and it's 4 hours. So
Well, I started it uh, during my class today. It was not a very fun class, so I started watching it, and I got about 2.5 hours in, and I was actually enjoying myself. Am I too loud?
no, no, I just didn't want you to ruin it.
Oh, I'm not. I'm not going to give away spoilers. Plus, it's the same movie, just with extra scenes, essentially. However, it is twice as long, so a lot of extra scenes. I'm
I
pretty
haven't
sure
seen
it's
the
broken.
original.
You haven't seen the original?
No, I literally just said that.
Oh, well, why?
I don't know. I heard it was bad, so I didn't want to waste my time.
Yeah, I heard the Suicide Squad was bad. I still went and saw it.
I saw that too early to know it was bad, unfortunately.
Yeah, the first one was it. The problem was he left, right? The director left because of like a family emergency. So another director took over, and Zach was like really disappointed. And I've kind of been hating on Zach, to be honest, because I'm like, I see this guy's associated with every DC movie, and I watch each one flop one by one. So I'm
Mhm.
like, why are they? But now I'm watching this, and I'm like, this is actually pretty good. But then again, most extended cuts should be good. One of the most difficult parts of directing a movie is cutting down scenes, and that's what studios pressure you to do. So he was very disappointed when he saw the finished cut of the original. So he's like, I think a fan like influenced him, so he's just like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do my own. And it's really good so far. With like, I'm not giving anything away. There was the one of the problems with the last one was they kind of like, it was kind of rushed, like with the MCU, they did Iron Man movies first, they did the Hulk, they did Captain America, Thor. This they kind of, we knew Batman and Superman, but that, and we kind of knew Wonder Woman, but like that was it. So like Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg all just got introduced like kind of rapidly, which 4 hours kind of gives it the feel that you get their backstory in a sense, so it doesn't feel as rushed. But anyways, let's get to the fights.
Oh, before
Oh,
that, I want to talk about Falcon the Winter
yeah,
Soldier. I
okay.
mean, there's not much to say except it's on tonight, and I'm really fucking excited. I've
I
heard
wouldn't say
good
tonight.
things.
It's like
Well,
3 a.m.
depends where you are. 12 a.m. in LA.
Yeah, well, are you gonna stay up?
Probably not, because I got up pretty early today to drive to Toronto. So
Yeah, I don't think. Maybe I will. Depends. I'm not. I've heard it's supposed to be really good. I know it hasn't come out yet, but some people saw it, and you know, I'm excited. I think it's gonna be less, kind of. It's gonna be less intense than WandaVision. I kind of feel like it's gonna be more. It's gonna be lighter. Wouldn't you say so? Like you have two funny characters. You don't agree?
no, it'll be funnier, maybe. Actually, I don't even know that for sure, but it'll
Yeah,
definitely
but
be the relationship between the two. It'll be like a Rush Hour kind of thing, partner movie. But I think the intensity will be higher just because there'll be more action.
yeah, but that's not for me. It's not the action that brings intensity. It's like the mystery of it all. And WandaVision was like, what's going to happen next? I don't think that this is going to be that kind of show. I think it's going to be strictly entertainment. Just
I agree.
funny action. It's going to be less. It's going to be more simple. I can fully be wrong, by the way, but that's just my take on it. But we'll have to see next episode. We'll talk about what we thought about the pilot. But now, can we get into some fights?
Of course.
Okay, so we got to focus on this main event last weekend for a little while because there's a lot of questions of what's next, what happened, was the result correct? Okay, so let me just give some backstory. In the welterweight division, which in my personal opinion is the deepest division in the UFC, I know some people say lightweight, bantamweight, middleweight. This is my favorite. It's always been my favorite. The issue is you have a lot of guys in standstill positions not wanting to fight anyone, and with COVID as well, it's been extra difficult. So one man named Leon Edwards went on this 8-fight win streak, which in the UFC is pretty damn incredible. He won 8 fights in a row over the likes of Rafael dos Santos, Donald Cerrone, Gunnar Nelson, Vicente Luque. So he's very, very talented, and he's good everywhere. Truly a great striker, and over time he's evolved his wrestling. His most recent loss came 6 years ago to the champ himself, Usman, and that was Usman's second fight. And he went to the decision with him, and a lot of people scored that first round for Leon, so he was competitive. So yeah, since then he's been on a tear. But after summer of July 2019, he kind of just didn't fight. He couldn't get a fight. He was scheduled to fight Woodley at the beginning of 2020, but COVID got in the way of that. And then Gilbert Burns kind of stepped in and stole his thunder, if you will, and ended up going on to fight Usman. But first, Masvidal stepped in on short notice. So Edwards really got screwed over. Now, personally, I don't think he really deserved a title shot. I still think he needed that one win. I know others disagree, but it would have been more rightful to give him the title shot than, per se, Masvidal getting it right now. But
Yeah,
anyways,
I completely agree. Like the thing is, Edwards is just so unlucky. I do think he's the most deserving. Unless you give it to Thompson, which it doesn't seem like they're obviously going with if they booked Masvidal Usman. So it's ridiculous. Like Masvidal doesn't deserve the championship fight again. He got destroyed last time. I understand he didn't have much of a training camp, but like he's not going to knock out Usman. I don't think he'll win on the feet. Definitely won't win on the ground. But I guess we'll see. Wonder Boy actually said that he has Masvidal in that fight, and what Edwards is just, yeah, it's so unfortunate. Like the fucking eye pokes, so annoying. And it
Yeah,
wasn't
well,
even it
we
wasn't
didn't
even
even
like a it
we
wasn't
didn't
even an eye poke.
explain.
He was just throwing a kick, and when you throw a kick and you sort of use momentum like to get it up
Yeah.
there with your hands. That's what it was. It was just like a
Well,
that.
he
It
said it
wasn't.
was like a combo. It was like was it a body kick and a left hook or a left straight? But
Yeah, but the finger was specifically just a downward motion from the using
yeah,
momentum to kick instead of a poke to, like,
yeah,
gauge
it
distance
wasn't
or
just straight
punch,
in,
right?
yeah, which actually may have been worse.
Yeah, and
Um,
not only did he already have four training camps that led to nothing. He had the one for Tyron that fell through. Then he had one for Kamzat that fell through. Had another for Kamzat that fell through. And now,
Another comes at one for March. You had him booked in January, December, and March. So, and he only fell out of one of those. So, anyways, we kind of got sidetracked. But the story goes, in December, he finally got a fight against Chimaev, who was ranked 15. So he's ranked 3, and Chimaev's ranked 15. A lot of controversy saying he didn't deserve it comes at. A lot of people saying that Leon should have either fought for the title or a top 5 opponent. But nevertheless, Chimaev was the favorite going into the fight. So you have this huge fight. The co-main event is Wonderboy versus Jeff Neal, and then Leon. There's rumors that Kamzat's out, and then they're like claiming his management was like, no, it's not true, and then Leon fell out. So it was a shit show. So Thompson Neal was the main event. Wonderboy looked fantastic, proved he's no gatekeeper, 2 in a row, solidified himself in the top 5 of the division. Anyways, they moved on to the January 20th date, which ended up being headlined by Chiesa and Magny. But Edwards wanted to fight Chiesa and Magny once Chimaev fell out again. He was like, "Let me fight," but they're like, "No, we're gonna get this fight through." And they tried March 13th, and then what happened? Chimaev was out again because of issues with COVID-19, and since then has gone on to claim he is retired. But that's another story for another day. Anyways, Leon fought Bilal Muhammad, who's been really active, 4-fight win streak. 8 of his last 9 were victories. His only loss coming to Jeff Neal, who's looked like a stud, except for his last performance. And he was the big favorite going in, obviously, Leon, and he looked really good. He won that first round. He rocked him with a head kick, cut him open as well. Leon was looking good. But in the second round, Leon poked him in the eye, as we said. And the fight was a no contest. It wasn't a DQ because the fight hadn't gone past the 2-round mark, I believe. But there was also a warning for an eye poke in the first round. So there was an argument for disqualification. So some people, including Kobe Covington, were not so happy about that. What really pissed me off was I felt bad for Leon, and I still do feel bad for Leon, but he went on to call for a title shot, which is outrageous. Wonderboy said, listen, if I ever called for a title shot after a no contest or anything like that, my father would slap me. And it's a good point. Listen, it's frustrating. He's in a really difficult 1 in a million situation, but you're not getting a title shot off a 10-9 round against the number 13 ranked Bilal Muhammad on 2-3 weeks notice after getting his legs beaten the shit out of from Diego Lima, the brother of Douglas Lima. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a very odd situation.
yeah, I'm just so disappointed, and it's not his fault. Like, it wasn't, once he was warned, he wasn't like doing the same thing over again. I believe the ref said something like this is okay, this is not. So he didn't do that again. It was just like we said, just a movement for a kick, right? And so it's just so unfortunate. I don't think he should have called for a title shot. It's not a good look. I understand he deserves it, but just maybe wait like a few
Yeah.
weeks, see what happens in the current, title fight. But yeah, it's just so unfortunate. He was on Joe Rogan, I believe today or yesterday, and he's very adamant that he was going to win that fight, and I don't disagree. I think he's like kind of levels ahead of Bilal. I think he might be the second best in the division, depending on how Thompson fares in his future fights. But yeah, I think we should move on to the next fight, which is Ryan Spann versus Misha Serkinov. Um,
I don't think we should move on. We shouldn't move on because we still need to talk about what's next for them. Do you do the rematch? Do you do Leon and Bilal too? What do you think?
Joe Rogan wants it. Um, Honestly, I'd prefer to have him fight Khamzat if Khamzat's ready to come back, which apparently he is. And if they do that, I mean, not only will people be more excited to see that fight, but that'll actually be more of a challenge for Leon, in my opinion. And for Bilal, I mean, I feel like he should, should have fought someone closer to his ranking, which, would have made sense originally. So maybe put him against, rematch against Jeff Neal. Who knows?
Yeah, and Gilbert Burns, made a statement today saying, uh, like he was offered to fight two people, and they both said yes. Kobe was not one of them. He said no. So that leads you to believe it has to be either Leon, Wonder Boy, or Chiesa, two of the three. Um, I say this because I have it all mapped out. Okay, so listen to me for a second. What you're gonna do is you're gonna do Usman Masvidal 2. That's a given. It's not really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it's booked. So that's happening. Next, you're doing Wonder Boy and Leon. Okay, that fight needs to happen. It makes so much sense. They're both strikers. It would be so fun to watch. And even though I love Wonder Boy, it's a tough fight. It's a tough fight for both men. Next, you want to give Bilal Muhammad a good fight because he stepped up. He deserves it. So give him number 8, Damian Maya. Damian's won 3 of his last 4, I believe. Give him Damian Maya. Then for Kobe Covington, this is going to be. I mean, if he said no to Gilbert, maybe do him and Chiesa.
He keeps
I,
turning down fights.
yeah,
I
I don't know what.
honestly
You're
just can't.
not sorry. You're not the champion yet. You're not a huge draw. Yeah, you're a bigger draw than most. You're the number one contender. You beat a washed up Woodley. You don't get a title shot after that. You got knocked out by Usman. You laughed at the fact when Usman claimed he would knock you out, and that's exactly what happened. So you got to work your way back up. And 1 or 2 more fights should do that. People saying Leon versus Kobe is a number one contenders matchup really makes me sick to my stomach. How is that
Why?
a number one? Because why would Wonder Boy not be in a number one contenders matchup? Kobe fought Usman. Wonder Boy's the only guy who hasn't. Kobe's won 1 in a row. Wonder Boy's won 2. He's won
Yeah,
2.
but Kobe was probably Usman's toughest match by far. So and it was a really exciting fight. If he was going to have a rematch with anyone, it should have been Kobe, not Masvidal. And I do, I'm a little biased, but I do think Wonder Boy versus Leon. I mean, that would be sick.
Yeah, I think so too. Um, yeah, I'd love to see that fight. Welterweight division is very interesting right now. As for Chimaev, he called out Neil Magny. I think that's the right fight. Give him someone in the top 10, but not like the top 6. Make him
You
deserve
know,
it. I love Magny, but I think he rolls through him.
you know what Kevin
Runs right.
Holland wants to do?
He wants to fight Chimaev.
No, he wants to come down and fight Usman for the title after he bulldozes through Brunson, which I mean, I have him in the fight, but Brunson still has a really good chance.
Yeah, I mean that wouldn't make any sense. That makes no sense.
He's just a big name. He'd probably get it if he does what he says he's going to do to
I
Brunson.
don't know how Dana or the UFC would justify that. I mean,
But yeah,
he
let's
first of all, let's see him get through Brunson. I think he'll win, but that, like you said, that's a tough fight. It's a very tough fight. He proves he's actually a black belt in jiu-jitsu, Kevin, right? But
no, not
he,
yet.
are you sure? I'm pretty sure he's a black belt
He's
under
brown.
Brown, whatever.
Yeah,
Pretty impressive. And he's fighting he's fighting a guy who really could potentially have his number. Brunson's looked great lately, spoiled a lot of contenders, top 10 debut like Shabazian, and Ian Heinisch and Elias Theodorou. And he's looked good, Brunson, especially utilizing his wrestling. And I kind of feel like if Brunson wins this fight, people are overlooking this guy. Like
yeah.
he can wrestle. And Holland got taken down by Jacare pretty easily. First takedown of the night. I still have Holland, like I said. I think Brunson has proven to be chinny, but Brunson also has that experience factor. Holland's clearly gets tired after the second round, but he had a lot of time to prepare for this fight, so who knows?
That's the thing with Holland. I mean, most of the fights he was in, he had like 3-week
Right.
training camps or less. So I'm assuming that this is going to be a different version of Holland. He's had a very long camp. He's been out the entire year, and he says he's really embracing the grind this time. He all he does is train, comes home, sleeps. That's it. And the thing with Brunson though is he's training at with Hard Knocks, or I guess what's it called?
365.
No,
The
no, no. It's the new name is Sanford MMA
Oh,
with
Sanford,
under
Henry,
Henry Hooft.
Gilbert
So
Burns, those guys.
yeah, so his striking's definitely improved. I'm sure he's gotten in some time with Luke Rockhold. He visited recently. It's his old main training camp. And yeah, but we should move on to the next fight because we've got a lot to cover.
Wait, but are him and Rockhold training together? Are they like sparring?
Well, I mean, they Rockhold visits once in a while. His Rockhold's new main camp is under Perillo. Like that's
Yeah,
where he saw Bisping, but he still goes back once in a while. So I'm sure they've gotten some rounds in. They're both middleweights.
yeah, but you got to think like that's a potential matchup. Like Rockhold wants to come back. Brenton's got a big fight. I mean,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Anyways, you're right. Let's go to Misha Cirkunov versus Ryan Spann. Not a good night for the Canadians, except for Charles
No.
Jordan. But yeah,
Yeah, not a good night at all. Ryan Spann, I mean, he's a monster. And Misha Cirkunov, I don't even want to say he has a glass chin because he can get knocked out cold, but he really can't take
what did I
any
tell you last
shots.
podcast? What did I say? He's
Yeah.
not too tough, and I hate saying that about. He's a Torontonian. I'm pretty sure he's like one of like how many people do you see fighting out of Toronto? Like we don't have that many. I think there's an Extreme Couture up north ish, but like that's like there's not
But
much going
yeah,
on.
I mean, there's clearly a reason. Yeah, move out to Montreal, see what
Yeah,
happens.
go to Montreal. Seriously. Well, he actually trained with Walker in I think Europe. He got like SBG or something, which is he got knocked out by
Johnny
Walker.
Walker.
Yeah, Johnny.
Johnny's training at TriStar.
No, but Johnny goes back and forth to
Oh,
yeah, like for us was talking about it. But yeah, it was a good showing for Ryan. And I fully did not pick up on this. He had that Contender Series loss, but then when he bounced back and won again on the Contender Series, got the contract. He was 4-0 in the UFC before, or 3-0 or something before fighting Walker. I guess I just was very disappointed in his performance against Sam Alvey because he was such a heavy favorite and it was such a close fight. You know.
yeah, but Sam Alvey's like oddly good at winning fights, even though he has such a
Yeah.
shitty style.
Yeah. Good
but
striking.
yeah, but he also just has a pace that he doesn't stop coming forward. His cardio is pretty good. His ground game is though. So
He just
yeah,
trains getting up, right? Like that's all he does. Just get up.
the biggest surprise, in my opinion, of the whole night was fucking Dan 50. What is it? 50G Ige. Like wow.
Listen, I called it. I said I didn't call that. I'm not going to say I said he was going to knock him out in 22 or 23 seconds, but I said he was going to win.
Did you?
Yeah, on the podcast. You convinced me to bet on Tucker. I should have trusted my instincts. It's on video. I said Ige. I got to listen to myself sometimes, but yeah, no one expected that. But yeah, go ahead.
That was brutal. I mean, my bets didn't fare well after that. I hope out of the 40 people who've watched this that they didn't lose money either.
Hey, it's like 106. Don't be honest. You got a lot.
Well, regardless, I mean, I think honestly, Gavin Tucker has more talent. I'm not gonna lie. I think Ige has way more power than I had expected, and he has cardio for days. So no matter what, even if Tucker was dominating the fight, I think Ige is good enough on the ground to avoid submissions and has enough cardio to not get finished. So I would have had Tucker by decision. I think, like I said, I think he has more technical striking. I think he's better on the ground. And yeah, it was just unfortunate. I wasn't seeing that happening at all. And what was it? 20 seconds?
Yeah, it was like 20. It was under 25. I'm pretty sure it's 22. But
Yeah, it was 22.
He's like 34, Tucker, right? Like he's getting up there. But I was still, me and you both were looking forward to this because I liked Ige and I called him. But I would have been like, I was like cheering for both in a sense. I was like, it's a win-win. I said to my dad, I was watching with, I said, this Tucker guy, he might be the next thing. We have Felicia Spencer, who didn't fare too well against Nunes. Misha Cirkunov's next. We all know what happened there. I'm like, this guy might be the guy. 3, 2, done. My dad looked at me. There was no screaming. There was no, oh, he was just like a straight face. Like, are you serious?
Yeah. I'm also disappointed with Jonathan Martinez a little bit.
Yeah, I told you I was scared about that one. I was
rightfully so.
Yeah, because I was looking and I was like, this guy shouldn't be that big of a favorite. This British kid's he's not too shabby, and he proved to be so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vegas odds have been a little weird recently. Like if you look at the upcoming fights, Montel Jackson, who don't get me wrong, he's a great fighter, but he lost against Brett Johns, and he's going up against this guy who's 5-1. I believe it's his debut in the UFC, and he's no punk. Like I don't know why he's a -700 against the dude.
Who's he fighting?
This guy Jesse Frazier or something like that, I believe.
I mean, -700. I mean, maybe don't bet on the other guy, but never bet on the -700. Do you think I
Yeah,
bet on Nunes? I mean, maybe add Nunes to a large parlay, but who bet straight up on Nunes? I
I'll
mean,
bet my house on Nunes, and I don't care.
like,
Minus
you bet
10,000,
your
I'll
house
do it.
on Nunes, you'll win a bathroom. Like, it's
That's
not
fine with me. I pee.
right. Well, yeah, okay. I just don't see it. I mean, unless I have a lot of money to bet, but I'm usually if I bet more than $100, that's crazy day. So,
Yeah,
there's no point in betting $100 and winning $7.
yeah.
Um,
But I don't know if you agree. The next fight, Manel Cape, like he won that fight. I don't care what anyone says. He won.
it wasn't even
He
that. It
what
wasn't
was
even
it?
he won, but that's not what's the most frustrating part. The frustrating part is his trigger shyness, whatever you want to talk about, because he could have easily won that fight, and he won 2-1, but he could have easily, clearly won 2-1, and instead he took his sweet ass time and waited for those knees at the end. Did I think he won? Yeah, I thought he won, but you can't be so mad at the end of that because you got to put like, what did you learn anything from the Pantoja fight? Like, come on, man, you
That
got to
was he
so
was better.
talented.
He was
Oh
better than
yeah,
the
he made
Pantoja
it
fight for
easy,
sure.
but it was
Yeah,
against lower. No offense to the Nicolau, or it was not as good of an opponent as Pantoja. Nicolau was returning to the UFC. Uh, yeah, he should have went into his guard. Remember in the third round, he had him down with 2.5 minutes. Go into the guard, survive for 2.5 minutes, and you win the fight.
he should have. I believe Bisping said that.
Yeah,
He could have finished him. He was hitting him with those hooks really hard. Even those little choppy shots, like the boom boom, like while he was moving and going in. I think, yeah, I mean, Minelki could have finished that fight, but he didn't need to. He had that on the scorecards. I don't know what the judges were doing. They
right,
also fucked up a decision earlier. I believe Courtney Casey versus JJ Aldrich. Courtney Casey won that one as well.
right. Split decision. It really hurts because what I get mad when Dominic Cruz when that fight was a split decision with Casey Kenny, I got mad. But the thing is, like when Rose Namajunas had a split decision with Jessica Andrade, I'm like, how can even if it's just one person, how can one judge, like one out of three people, say that this person won the fight? Now you have 2 out of 3 people. It's ridiculous. I judges it really do they not like watch the sport? You have guys who judge boxing who also judge MMA. It's a different criteria. You got to figure it out. Like it's your job. Like learn how to judge. It's real. It's difficult, but me and you could do a better job. I know easier said than
Absolutely.
done, but it's
I don't
painful. To,
I don't think it's easier said than done compared to what we have now as judges. I think judges
yeah,
should be much, much more capable of judging fights than we are, but unfortunately they're not.
they're not.
I actually think because of how bad they are, I wouldn't recommend this otherwise. I'm only saying this because of how bad they are and how bad they've been for so long, and there's no changes happening. I think they should honestly do like partner up. If they're not going to do something else, they should partner up with Verdict MMA and just have the fucking public score the
Yeah, I
fights.
just don't love Verdict MMA. I like, sorry, I really like Verdict MMA. I use it all the time, but I don't love how because it'll say one person edges out two and the last person gets the three by a lot, and they'll say the guy who won round three won the fight. I'm like, yeah, but that's not like I agree with the public scoring, but I don't agree it should still be round by round in my opinion. I
Yeah,
don't but what Verdict does is which is kind of smart, is they do the whole fight, who won the fight. But I still kind of like the 10-9 system. I like how you have to win every, you can edge out a round. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think if one guy
yeah.
edges out 2 rounds and one guy wins by a good amount in the third, the guy who edged out the first two should win. That's my opinion. A lot of people disagree with me, but I just like that I'm kind of old fashioned that way, and that's how fights have been scored for 100 years, and that's how I think they should continue to be scored, just in the correct way. Do it
I don't
right.
even I don't even know if I could call you old fashioned for that. Like to be completely honest, it's not a dog fight. It's not a street fight. It's a
Yeah.
sport, and that's why it's structured in a specific way with a certain point system. And you have to figure out strategies and game plans to take advantage of that point system. I do like Verdict MMA because it still gives you the points for each round. I understand that they select their winner with the overall points, but if they just do the 10-9 like they do, they're not going to change the UFC rules. So it would still help, right? Because the public opinion is actually super accurate. And maybe even if we're going really in depth, we could actually have like the people put in their picks. Like you have to put in your picks before the fight in order to choose who you think won the fight afterwards. And the ones who voted for the other, like for the ones who voted for the person who lost the fight, like let's say you had Manel Cape, right?
Uh-huh.
And you afterwards voted for Mateus Nicolau, that vote would count. But if you had Manel Cape from the start and then you voted for him, that wouldn't. So it would really take into account the honest opinions, right? The ones who are willing to admit they were wrong, as opposed to the people who are biased. But
Yeah,
uh, but yeah, regardless,
Manel
sucks. Bad
Cap.
decision.
Yeah. Um,
Let's move on.
well, I was looking at our notes here, and it's Eric Andrews and Darren Stewart. I kind of blocked this out, but it was really fun, that fight, as long as it lasted.
Yeah.
Um, illegal knee. So like, how can it's just I like Eric Andrews, but like you tweeted about this a week ago, and then you go into it. It's like out of a movie. Like it's just so silly. I mean, he had him down. It's I can see the hamster wheel running in his brain, thinking, "Do I throw the knee or do I not throw the knee?" Oh, okay, threw the knee. Done. Like, what are you thinking? He had a pause. He had an opportunity to just think, and he thought,
What?
and he went.
Why don't, if you're like even questioning it, like why risk it? Why not just throw punches? He's clear. If you can throw a knee, you can throw punches. Just throw the fucking
Makes sense.
punches.
They think, oh, this knee's going to be devastating. You're right, and that's why it's. It
Like
bothered me.
it should be throw knees in the clinch.
Yeah.
Like unless they're defending a takedown and you can reach their head with your knee, do that. But if you're ever in the position where they're partially on the ground, it's not worth the risk. Throw
Oh,
fucking punches.
and what?
Like,
How often does the knee like that knee was like he was kind of covering it. He was really hurt. Darren Stewart. He was going to win that fight. Eric Anders most likely. Darren's tough, but he was being cocky before, so I was happy to see Eric look good. It was a barn burner while it lasted, and I'd like to see the rematch.
me too.
Let's just talk about Angela Hill real quick. She looked great against Ashley Yoder, tough as always. But Angela got the job done. 2-0 against Yoder. Happy the judges got this one right because
Yeah, I was scared.
yeah, me too. And the commentators were very confident, which kind of helped me. And I was confident too, but it's just the judges. It wouldn't be out of the ordinary for them to fuck that one up too. But yeah, they got that one right, and they got the scorecards right as well. So I was happy to see that. Um,
Yeah, I was especially scared because of the
and
Aldrich and Casey fight.
oh,
Um,
I
but
was scared because Angela had lost her 2 fights by split decision, so I felt bad. I'm
yeah,
like, not again. I mean, I actually thought Watterson beat her. I didn't. I thought she beat Claudia though, and
yeah,
Claudia ran her mouth after, which pissed me off.
and let's not make this a Casey Kenny Tim Welsh conversation, but just a quick note: Ashley Yoder's pretty good looking.
Yeah, she's definitely in the upper half of the fighters, which doesn't say too much, but
Yeah, she's
she's
like
not.
she's a 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m.,
Don't
and
do that.
5 a.m.
Don't do
No,
that.
but no,
uh,
last fight I want to talk about is Charles Jourdain, a fellow Canadian, one that pulled through. I really like him as a fighter. I think he lost to Andre Fili, but that was a close fight. I think he's improving, every time he fights, and you can see he has that championship mindset. I believe it was after the first or second round. I don't really remember, but you could just see him telling himself, "I want to be champion. Like I want to be champion. I have to be able to win this fight." And then he came out in the next round and was dominating.
you're right, because he was getting picked apart a little bit on the feet, and he fully turned it around. One of the toughest guys in the sport. Knocked out Doohu Choi too. I mean, Cub Swanson couldn't even do that. So yeah, I don't think he's a top 10 fighter. I actually think featherweight's somewhat it's not super stacked in my opinion. You've got a lot of unknown names like Bryce Mitchell and Ryan Hall on the edge, like on the outer top 15. You got Barboza there. What's that guy's name? Esloev? What? He's fighting.
Movsar Evliov.
Yeah, he's fighting Dawadu. That's a great fight. Love that fight. Yeah.
Evliov's gonna destroy him.
What?
Evliov will destroy him.
It's unfortunate because Dawadu deserves a fight against someone he can win.
The
Like
thing is, Evliov's so good on the ground. I don't think there are very few people who can win against him in the division. I think.
yeah, he's what is he 14-0 or something? He's
Yeah.
crazy like that. I He's ranked 15. I met Hakeem Dawadi one time. I saw him fight in Toronto, and then I was in New York with the Masvidal Diaz card, the BMF, and I was in the hotel lobby and I saw him and I went up to him and I'm like, "Hey, it was a year after, not even a year after, 10 months after." I said, "Hey, I saw you fight in Toronto." He goes, "Oh, so you've been a fan for a while?" I'm like, I mean, it's 10 months that long. Yeah, I didn't know if I was talking to the right dude. I was like, you're Mean Hakeem, right?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And he was like, he was really friendly, but like, I was like, "What do you mean? You fought in Toronto less than a year ago?" It was really awkward. And I went in
Whatever.
there and I was like, not even 100% sure it was him. I was like 99% sure. And I was like, this better be him because if it's not, I like, because he had like the hood on, he was probably cutting weight, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was really nice and he won.
There's
Um,
that reminds me, there's three things that I really, 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 really want right now. A little UFC unrelated, sort of. First off, a party. I really want to go to a party. Second, a Blue Jays game, just a baseball game. I just want to sit there and relax and watch a baseball game. It's been so long, and COVID just has built it up inside of me. Season starts soon. And last but not least, I would love to go to a UFC event. I've never stayed in the same hotel as the fighters. Um,
it would be
that
your
would be
dream.
fun. Yeah, it would
Well,
be.
I you went to the one in Toronto, UFC 206, Holloway versus Pettis. Cole and I went to this bar. What was the bar called? We went
Like the
somewhere.
Western Harbor Castle Bar.
No, it wasn't that. It was like it wasn't a bar. It was a
Oh,
restaurant.
Shoeless Joe's.
Right. Yeah. But there was like was it a I don't know. But
It's
I
a
remember
restaurant.
no, but I remember like having trouble getting in because I was young. Um,
It was just because of the time, I believe.
yeah. So we got in because there was Wonder Boy and this guy Usman. Who the hell knew what this Usman?
So
20.
weird.
I know. And like the Usman guy comes in, no one and he's like, no one gives a shit. And
Yeah,
then
and
Wonder Boy comes in.
6 feet
What?
my ass. Usman. I'm taller than him. I'm like
Oh yeah. No,
I'm
no,
just
no, for
under
sure.
6 feet.
And Cole and I were in line, and Cole was going to the fights later that night, and I wasn't, and I was so jealous. And we went up to the guy because they were like doing like buy a beer and enter your name in the raffle to win like cage side seats. So I'm like, Cole, go buy it. He's like, and Cole's like, I'm 18. What are you? And it's 19 here in Toronto. So Cole's like, hey, can I get a beer? And they're like, what do you look like? You're 16. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And they're like, and you're like, well, let me just get out my wallet, and he didn't have it. So we called my dad and we're like, can you come bring Cole's fake ID so we can buy some fake beer? He's like, what?
Some
I didn't give
fake
him,
beer.
not fake beer, sorry, beer. I don't know what I'm saying. My point is, yeah, they wouldn't let us, but god damn it, you were so lucky. That was such a good event. They had Swanson Choi. Anyways, on with the story. So Cole and I are in line for 2 hours, and we met Usman and Wonder Boy in the same photo together. We have them, and now they might fight eventually. And
Yeah.
at the time, Usman wasn't ranked. I guess he had won the Ultimate Fighter, but no one really gave a fuck. Wonder Boy was coming off that fight of the night draw with Woodley, getting ready for the rematch. He was the nicest guy. Usman was so nice too. I've met Usman twice actually. Uh, they're both so nice, and I think Usman gets a lot more hate than he deserves because I've met him
Yeah.
both times.
Usman
And
was like insistent on shaking our hands. He was
yeah,
really nice.
well, Wonder Boy, like did that. Like I was like 12. He's like, okay, give it here, like doing
Yeah.
like a little handshake.
It was
I was,
so weird. So
yeah,
cringy. Whatever. He's such a nice guy. But yeah, now even now, to be completely honest, as a 21-year-old shit, I'm 21. Yeah, it's impossible to get drinks without being ID'd. I mean, I look like a
really?
baby. Yeah. I mean, I try to, do this little carpet attempt of a beard,
Right.
but sometimes it doesn't work.
21 though, and we're in Canada, so it's 19.
Yeah.
That's
And it's really unfortunate that I turned 21 during COVID because I mean I'm a gambler. Everyone who
right.
listens knows this, and
Vegas, baby.
yeah, fuck
One day. One day. We might have
UFC.
to wait till I turn 21 at this rate, but we will go.
Oh, I'll
Uh,
go without you, but we'll
yeah, well,
UFC
okay.
fights,
Like,
UFC
yes.
fights,
You
casino.
can't go
Oh
to
man,
Vegas unless there's a UFC. There's at least
and
4 a year.
you know the trick. You know the trick. You do not go before the fights. You go to the fights. You go the next day because guess who's there in the casino the
Dana.
next day? No, well, yes, but
Fighters?
the fighters and
Wow.
Dana.
Like the hotel, like one of those joint casinos, hotels, you mean?
Yeah, or just like one of the popular ones. I don't really know, but Leon was there the night after his fight.
Who did he fight in Vegas?
He just fought Bilal.
Oh, this. Oh, you're talking. Wait, casinos are. He's able to go to a casino.
That's why I'm thinking maybe you were right and that it wasn't a hotel because technically they're all tested, right? I'm not sure. Maybe you have to
Yeah,
wear
they
a
say in the
mask.
in Vegas.
I'm not sure, but I'm sure he had a mask. I'm sure people did. Everyone's getting tested there right now. So who knows? I mean, getting vaccinated there right now. So it's possible. But yeah, let's move on to some current news.
Yeah. Okay. So, where do you want to start? We got some big fight announcements this week, but
Not too
y-
big. We have the
oh, what are you talking about?
pun. What do you mean?
We got a huge event with live. Like, we're getting fans back.
Oh well, yeah, but that's not really a fight booking. That's just saying the
Usman
mask.
Masvidal too.
Yeah, we get fucking fans back finally.
Yeah, and it's a fight to have. People are overlooking Masvidal. I think Usman will get it done, but I think Masvidal with the full training camp. I had him winning that first round against Usman. I think with a better game plan and better, I think he threw way too many kicks, which is just like asking to get taken down. But I think with a better game plan and better cardio, he can find some success. Usman really wants a finish. So the question is, does he try to take him down and TKO him or submit him? Or does he try to just knock him on the feet, which I don't really see happening, to be honest. I see if he's going to get a finish, it's going to be on the ground, but I could be wrong. Yeah, but that's pretty big news.
Yeah, I'm
Shevchenko
excited.
on that, like
The
this was
best thing
announced.
the best thing
Yeah,
about this division is that every single fight you don't know who's going to win for sure. Like yeah, the champion has a bit of an advantage, especially against someone that he's beaten in the past, but like even then because of the short training camp, like you don't know what's going to happen. And I think the same goes with the Leon Edwards fight. Like Leon's made improvements, of course, and he's gotten in better shape. They both have incredible cardio, and like you said, Leon kind of won that first round. If the fight went on 10 times, who knows what would happen. And yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be an exciting fight, and I'm glad that the fans will be there to see it.
me too. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to Shevchenko Andrade, but mostly Rose Thug Namajunas is getting a title shot.
Yeah,
Finally, she's back in the title mix. People are overlooking her like crazy. I'm sorry. I remember Weili Zhang going to a very controversial split decision with Joanna. I remember Rose knocking her the fuck out in one round and then beating her in a clear unanimous decision in the rematch. I know MMA math doesn't really work, but I think there's good money on Rose, and I'm really fucking looking forward to it.
I love Rose. I have a bunch of favorite fighters, and don't get me wrong, Rose is at the top, but she's not in the top five. She might be, but regardless, the thing that matters is out of all of those fighters, maybe because Rose is a pretty woman, I care most about her safety above the rest. I'm the saddest when she loses or gets hurt, and so I'm
Because
extremely
she's
biased and
attractive.
extremely scared. No, just because I care. I just care about her. Her relationship with Pat Barry, like the whole, I don't know. I'm attached. And so I really don't want her to get hurt.
Yeah,
And I like Wei Li Zhang too. Don't get me wrong, but Rose deserves to be champion. She deserves another chance, and she will
the
get.
way
She
she
gets
lost
it,
the
and
belt
she's
was
gonna
so
win.
stupid,
Yeah,
and she avenged it. So yeah, she definitely deserves it. And that's the most exciting women's division ever. You've got Wheelie and Rose. You've got Joanna, Tatiana Suarez, Nina Ansaroff coming back, Marina Rodriguez coming off that big win. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but Yan Xenia Yan, the Chinese girl.
yeah. I'm not gonna try.
Yeah. You got Carla Esparza's won 4 in a row. It's really fun. And, Mackenzie
Yan
Dern,
Yan Jonian, Jonian Yan.
no clue. No clue. You're right. We shouldn't try. But yeah, she's the favorite over Esparza. I think Esparza can get it done, but we'll see.
Me too.
Um,
And did you hear that Rose's brother is making his
oh
debut in
yeah,
MMA?
I did. Is he must be younger.
No, he's older. He started training. I think he was 6 and she was 4, and they had the same original training partner. I don't know if they're training the same camp now. It would make sense if they are, but I mean, I'm excited for that just purely because he's related to Rose.
Any Namajunas is worth watching.
Exactly. Except for you know their parents, but
I'd
still,
watch it.
I wouldn't. But excited to see the brother. But I think we should also talk about the other fight booking, which is Soriano versus Anthony Hernandez.
Why is that so important to talk about?
Well, sorry, I think it's going to be a really exciting fight. You saw what Hernandez did to that jiu-jitsu specialist recently in what was his name?
Pitolo?
No,
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 that
no.
was that was Marquez. Sorry,
Yeah, I think Vieira, Rodolfo Vieira.
I don't know.
He's a multiple time ADCC finalist. I'm not sure how many gold medals he's won, but he's really good. But he came into that fight, with a terrible game plan, tired himself out in the first round, and couldn't even stand up on his feet. And Anthony Hernandez, I'm not even sure. Oh, I believe he does have his black belt, but nothing compared to Rodolfo's black belt. He got a submission guillotine finish.
Oh, right. The 31-1. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. I remember now. Yeah.
and that's
So
a really exciting fight.
yeah, that is good. I take it back. Um, Other news: Francis Ngannou cornering Kamaru Usman. What the
Other way
fuck?
around.
Kamaru Usman cornering Francis Ngannou.
Yeah.
Still, what the fuck? Where
Makes
did that
sense.
come?
Like
Why?
they're
'Cause they're both
friends.
from the same continent with 2 billion people. No, I'm good.
Yeah. No, honestly, I feel like they like he's a perfect person to have because he speaks amazing English and he also speaks African. I don't know if there's
I don't
different
think
dialects of
Africa's a
African.
fucking language.
Yeah, I don't either. I
They live in
corrected
two
myself
different
right away.
countries. It makes no sense.
No, but
I'm pretty sure Ngannou's main language is
it's
French.
I think they both speak Nigerian. I'm not sure if that's the name of the language, but regardless, Kamaru is able to talk to Francis. Kamaru has a lot of knowledge about the sport, clearly, and Kamaru can talk with Eric Nisick, and that would be a good person to have in the corner. Why not? He's a champion.
Yeah.
They're friends. Like it makes sense. Aljo has Ali Quinta. He's not a champ, but he's
Yeah.
another fighter.
But they're not like
close.
training partners, even though.
Well, they can't be. I mean, Francis is a bus, and he's
No,
a
but they're
he's
not
a
even
Mini
in the
Cooper.
same team. Like, yeah, I guess, but he's definitely not a Mini Cooper just compared to Ngannou. But yeah, I'm listen. I'm excited about it. I mean, I'd rather Usman than some guy I don't know. I was just very surprised.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see how it works. I don't think it will make much of a difference, but I'm going for OH here. Cleveland, Ohio is going to be a
So am
happy
I.
city. And the
So
odds are
is-
starting to agree with us, which I'm kind of happy about, kind of not, because I want the respect for Stipe, but I also want to make some money.
No,
So,
I like the odds are there. Not gonna lie. But speaking of cornermen, Matt Serra and Aljamain Sterling hashed things out. I said that would happen. They were getting a slice of pizza. There was never really bad terms. Matt Serra still says he's done cornering for now, but that he will definitely help Aljo prepare for the rematch against Jan. And yeah, no, I'm excited. Like that's that fight. I still think Sterling has a chance. Jan was definitely had the upper hand towards the end, especially when he had the ability to knee him in the face. He could have thrown punches and maybe still ended it. Who knows? But regardless, I'm excited that they've hashed things out. And we also forgot to mention another fight booking, sort of unfortunate, but also fortunate. Paulo Costa, he had a bottle of wine a couple weeks ago, and he can't get out of bed now. Yeah, it's for him, if you drink, you're dead, right? So I think it's just the classic COVID situation where he was training because he was angry at Israel and wanted to stay in shape, and so he never recovered fully, and they pushed it too far, and he needs to he realized he needs to take some time off before he can go back into fighting. And don't get me wrong, like although this is a bit of a pitfall, it's also kind of a blessing because
the blessing in disguise. I was just about to say. We got Kelvin Gastelum coming in. I told you, I think the day before, I said Gastelum would be a good replacement because he's ranked 8, and he's coming off a win, and everyone in that top 7 is either not or booked, I believe. So, or yeah, that's it. Because Whitaker beat Cannonier, and Till and Vittori, Costa's out, Hermanson just lost. It was the only fight that made sense, and it was the one that got away. It's a very intriguing matchup. Whitaker's a heavy favorite. I have him winning, but there's some good value on Gastelum as well. I think Whitaker is so good, and I love Israel. He's one of my favorite fighters, top 6 of all time. But it really bugs me that he's like, if Till wins, he's next. It's like, no, he's fucking not. Whitaker's fucking next if he wins. 100%. He has more than earned it, okay? You could have made an argument after that one win over Till. Then he beat Cannonier. Then he was scheduled to fight Costa. And now he's fighting fucking Gaslam. He beats all three. There's not a chance in hell. He beat Till. How the hell can you give Till that fight? If Whitaker loses and Till wins, then you can make an argument. But Whitaker found some...
Who knows? Because if Whitaker deserves another chance, what's saying that Gastelum doesn't? If Gastelum gets through Whitaker, because Gastelum's been looking great, and that was his toughest fight. I mean,
well, yeah. So you're saying if Gastelum wins and Till wins, who should get it? Till, because Till beat Gastelum.
The thing is, I think people are going to be more excited for the Till Vettori. I think they were going to want one of them to fight Izzy next. And if you hear Izzy on Helwani, he has some inside tea that he wasn't willing to spill, but it was after they were talking about Till, about him maybe fighting for the title. So I think he was going to say, or I think he knows that the UFC wants it to be Till.
Yeah, they probably do.
Yeah, and they're not wrong for that. But I also think if Kevin, like, I honestly think that they're gonna have a pick of the litter. They're gonna have Gastelum Whitaker go at it. They're gonna have Brunson Holland go at it, and they're gonna have Vettori Till go at it. And I think whoever out of those 6 fighters makes the biggest statement has a chance. So right now, it's just in the air, right? So I'm excited to see what happens. And yeah, but speaking of...
Wait, don't go off here.
Okay, you want to continue?
Yeah, because I want to just expand on our thought about it being a blessing. You have a guy named Paulo Costa who's like, I'll fight 2 weeks later. I'll fight May 1st. I'll fight May 8th. May 1st already has a headliner, Reyes versus Prochaska. May 8th was supposed to have Holm versus Pena, but that fight's off. So what do? You do Costa, and God willing, he comes out unscathed and with his hand raised, Kevin Holland. Boom. Now you've got a fight for Kevin Holland that he can win and get a title shot after. That's what you do. 2 months is more than enough time for the Trailblazer. He's proven that before, and that would be a fun fucking fight.
The thing is, he's very... I know he jokes around a lot, but I think he's very serious when he says that he wants to go down and fight Usman next for the title.
Not fucking fighting Usman unless he gets a 6-second knockout. He's not fucking...
Who knows? He's capable of it, but I think the funny thing is that he just has Usman winning for sure against Masvidal, which, you know, might not go that way. So
yeah, you're right. I agree. Just looking what other news we have.
George St. Pierre, he's teamed up with Karate Combat. He's known as the seasoned sensei, so he's going to be helping. He's going to be there for like the fighters to, you know, help them with their careers, with their training, just overall advice. I'm sure he's also has somewhat of an ambassador role, but overall, they're just using his face to, you know, to make Karate Combat more popular. And I mean, that's George St. Pierre's base, you know, Kyokushin Karate. He was, you know, started at a very young age, and he really likes the idea of Karate Combat because there are so many different kinds of karate, and Karate Combat meshes them all together. You know, it's not the old fashioned
karate.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not the old fashioned my karate versus your karate. You know, you use the best of everything, and there are takedowns involved too. So it's a really interesting sport. It's really fun to watch. I'm a huge fan of karate style, even in the UFC. So I really enjoy watching it. And I mean, with George St. Pierre, hopefully they attract, and Bas Rutten, hopefully they attract, you know, better fighters and continue to build it. I think it's interesting that they could have gone with mixed karate or something, but Karate Combat's a much better name. And that also...
It's a better name. And as I've always... Yeah.
That also brings us into George St. Pierre's training. And so not only is he making an appearance, he has a much bigger role in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier as Bachok the Leaper, which I'm really excited to see tonight. Hopefully he's in it. Probably not.
Who knows?
But
probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. But he said he's putting in as much work into his acting as he did in his fighting career, which we all know he hated. He loved the feeling of winning. He loved the training, but he hated the actual fights. He hated the training camps, like the intensive parts of it. He obviously goes...
I think he just hated the pressure of being champion.
Yeah, but he thought that it was unbearable, like the fight week, the training camps, the actual fighting. But once he wins, it was worth it. It was worth all of it. And I'm sure he doesn't regret anything, of course, but it just shows how hard that sport is for someone. But yeah, his training, not just his hair, but his physique right now looks very different. He looks really small. Like he looks like he could make 155. I'm not sure if it's for a
He
role
said he was
because
too old, but
I don't know. I don't think he's too old to do anything. That man is a machine. He can he does the weirdest workouts. He's training every day. And what's interesting is that he said, he's always said he'd come back for Khabib, and that's pretty much it. And now we see Khabib asking Dana to send him his location after meeting with Lorenzo Fertitta, the guy who gets the fights made, the guy who gets the deals done. If you look at Conor McGregor's history. Sorry?
Anymore, but
well, he's still respected, and I'm sure he's still a part of the process.
Connection is unstable, isn't it?
A little bit, but don't worry, we're surviving. But yeah, he's still a part of it. He has good relationships with everyone, so I feel like he can make things happen. And now they originally had a rumor about Gaethje fighting Chandler, right? And if that was changed to a rumor about Chandler fighting Oliveira, that makes me think that they're setting up a title fight and that they're getting Khabib to sign a 2-fight deal and maybe bringing back GSP. I know that's a stretch, but that's just my theory. I think it's happening.
Wait. What do you mean? They're going to do Khabib and Gaethje again?
No, they're going to do Khabib, George St. Pierre, and they're going to do Chandler, Oliveira.
But then what's this? Oh, I see what you're saying. So then what happens to Gaethje fights Nate?
I think so. Yeah, that's what I feel like that's going to happen. I mean, everyone who talks about a lightweight. It's just such a good fight. Like everyone who talks about that lightweight fight, think about it. Like Nate's gonna stay on the feet. They're gonna strike. I'm sure Nate's gonna get his legs chopped up. The thing is, Gaethje's jiu-jitsu isn't that great, and I mean Nate Diaz is Nate Diaz.
Nate won't get him down though, I doubt, unless it's the later rounds. The question is, can Nate survive? Because he has the better cardio as well.
Who, Nate?
Yeah,
I think they both have incredible cardio. I mean, look what
it's another level in my opinion. I think Nate puts on the right pressure, the right game plan. He can tire him out by the 4th round. But yeah, that would be a great fight. But it looks like they're going with Gaethje Chandler, which is a phenomenal fucking fight. Very similar fighters, similar builds. Yeah, I'm really excited for that one. Why don't we get into the picks? Why don't we go?
Before we do that, there's one more incredible fight we have to get into, and that is Askren versus Jake Paul. I know we talked about it a few times.
We mention this every fucking episode.
Well, it's because it's big, it's popular, but it involves a UFC fighter. Not only did Dana White say he was going to bet $1 million on Askren to win, and
which Jake Paul is really good. I agree with that.
No, I think it's really stupid. I don't think this fight should be bet on because there's not enough, history of really either of them, because Jake Paul's hasn't fought anyone who's credible, and Ben Askren can't fucking strike. I just watched another Instagram video of him hitting pads. It's so terrifying to watch because I care about him and I want him to win. But if you talk to Mike Perry, who just sparred with Jake Paul this past week, Jake Paul says Askren has a lot to, I think the specific quote was,
Mike Perry said this.
Yeah. I'm trying to get the specific quote because it was really interesting to see that.
Mike Perry Askren is going to win this fight, right? Like he's going to win this
I don't know. He says, I don't know, Dana White. I just got some work with Jake Paul and it's not looking good for Ben Askren. # iron sharpens iron. I really think that Askren needs to tie it up. It comes down to the ref, to be completely honest. The ref in the Floyd Mayweather Conor McGregor fight was very generous to Conor. He let him tie it up over and over again. But he could lose points with that. So if it goes to decision, that could also, screw it up for him. So I mean, if I was going to bet, it's tough because I do think Jake Paul's going to win, but it would only be worth betting on if you take the underdog, and the underdog is someone who I want to win. So I'm just going to stay away. But yeah, that's interesting that when Mike Perry said that.
Yeah, this is the Wi-Fi is so terrible. I apologize. So let's just get to the fights this weekend. So we said Kevin Holland and Derek Brunson, but why don't we start? Let's just do the co-main event. Gregor Gillespie versus Brad Riddell. I'm going with Gillespie. I really like the guy, and he fully took responsibility for his loss to Kevin Lee. I was there live. It was hard to watch, considering I also had money on Gillespie. But yeah, his wrestling is so amazing, and I'd like to see him get the win here. It's a classic grappler versus striker.
Riddell's really good though at defensive wrestling. So
yeah,
if he can keep it on the feet, which obviously is what the question is, then he could obviously win that fight. But going back to the Kevin Holland Brunson fight, yeah, again, I don't. This one's really interesting because you look and see what Kevin Holland has been doing to his opponents with little time to train, and you look and see what Brunson's been doing recently. You know, like stopping the up and comers in Edmund Shabazian and was it Ian Hines that you mentioned
Ian
earlier?
Heinisch, yes.
Yeah, so he's pretty good. He's getting better on the feet, like we talked about before. And yeah, honestly, those are the two fights that I care about this weekend. The car I'm going to watch, of course, but
It's not a
I'm not
stat
like,
card.
yeah,
Tai
not so
Tuivasa
much.
fighting, which I got him by knockout.
And
Um,
what, Harry
this
Handsucker?
new guy. I
I think
don't
that's his name.
fucking know. Harry Handsome. Uh, well, that should be Tai Tuivasa's nickname. Um,
Anyway, no, I think that'll be a fun fight, of
so
course.
who's your
Tai
pick for
Tuivasa.
Holland versus Brunson?
So I actually, it's tough to make this pick because I like Holland. I want Holland to win. I think he is the better fighter. But if you look and see what happened between him and Jacare, like Jacare was just not smart in that fight. He let Jacare
Those
got him
two.
down, of course, but he was playing Kevin Holland's game. He was posturing up, smiling. Like that's the one chance that the fighter you have on the ground has to get up, and you're
Yeah.
laughing, and then you get hit in the face and you get rocked
He's like
from
he laid back and was like, let's see it.
it was so ridiculous. And the thing is, any wrestler knows that if you're gonna take someone down who has the ability to stand up, you need to put pressure on. You need to close. You can't leave any space. Don't
Yeah.
posture up. You know,
And he
stay
gave as much
close.
space as he could.
Yeah, stay close. Hunt for a you know arm some sort of arm triangle or Kimura or something like that. Don't posture up and
Yeah.
strike from full guard. If you can get into half guard, it's smarter. If you can get into side control and get him into a a or what's it called? I'm forgetting
A
this.
what? Arm triangle? What?
No, when you get someone into side control and you trap
Oh, a
their leg.
crucifix?
Yeah, crucifix. If he can do that, that's probably the best move. Obviously, easier said than done. But if Derek Brunson takes him down, which I definitely think he has the ability to, it's just Holland can get up very
Keeping him
easily if
down,
there's
yeah.
yeah. And if he keeps that pressure on and throws those little soft punches like Jan did against Izzy, he could win that fight by decision. And that's why it scares me to bet on it. I know Brunson's the underdog, so if I'm gonna choose some underdogs for this fight card, he would probably be on my list just, because you can win money. But overall, I think I have Holland winning the fight. I'm not sure if that's
Yeah.
bias.
I
But yeah, what
have
about you?
I've got Holland as well, but it's either Holland by knockout or Brunson by decision. That's my pick. So as a betting man, I would probably do Brunson by knockout. I believe the odds are like, it's still in the plus range. It's still an underdog for he's not like favored to get a knockout, I believe. But yeah, I would do knockout and it's over in the first round and a half. That's my
I think
pick.
I think there's too many possibilities in that fight to
Yeah,
choose a
it's a
specific way
really
to win.
difficult fight to bet on. But yeah, you want to talk about your locks, underdogs?
Yeah, so my locks for the night is Macy Chiasson against Marion Renault. Marion Renault's lost three of her last fights. She's super old and she's fighting for her career pretty much. I think she's got a lot of pressure on her, and Chiasson has looked pretty good. I mean, she lost that one fight to who was it?
Landsberg.
Yeah, Lena Landsberg. But aside from that, she's been pretty successful, and
Yeah.
I think
Like to see her move up.
she's my lock for sure. Then also another Georgian. They've been doing incredibly in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Roman Delice, he had that little weird interaction with in his last fight where he was talking shit while standing over the dude and said, "I'm going to get a finish. I'm going to get a finish," and didn't. But it was a great fight, and he's a very strong fighter everywhere. All the Georgians are. And I think he's going to beat Trevin Giles, who, yes, he's been fighting well. He knocked out Bevan Lewis, but he fought James Krause, who's a weight class below him. James Krause looked like a baby compared to him, and
On
James
two
Krause
days'
put on a
notice.
fight. Yeah,
I
he put
thought
on a
James
fight.
won the fight.
Like the fact that
One
that's even
judge gave the first round to Giles, which was just outrageous. The same judge, I believe, that scored the fight for John Jones 49-46, but I think his name's Joe
who's
Solis.
Sal D'Amato.
No, not Sal D'Amato's like a popular one. This guy's like judged like 13 fights or something, and like of those 13, he's been like only like in the majority of like public opinion on like 4 or 5 of them. Like it's
Why is Dana White going after the fans with the streaming shit? can you go after the judges? Like,
No, I agree with him for going after the streamers. It makes sense.
why?
Because the streamers it's essentially theft. He's putting on a pay per view. Like that's how they make
Do you
money.
know how much it costs to be a UFC fan every year?
A lot of
Like
money.
somewhere over $1,200 because of the subscription to
I don't
UFC Fight Pass,
think that.
ESPN Plus, and the
Okay, well,
pay-per-views. You put it
okay,
together.
well,
You count the number of pay-per-views. It's $60 each. You count the number of the amount you pay for an ESPN subscription year round, and you count the amount that you pay for a Fight Pass subscription year round. It's a lot of money, and you also need cable to watch the fights that aren't right. You're investing a lot, and not everyone has that amount of money to be a fan. So if you want to take away streaming, you might be decreasing the amount of views that it gets. I understand that the
right.
views that are on cable and pay-per-view lead to more money, but I think it grows the sport to leave the streaming at least as an option, or just make it easier for people to afford to be a fan.
You're right. I can side with that. I still am not gonna. Streaming's illegal. I mean, it's illegal for a reason. I see your point, but if a poor man wants to feed his family and he steals food, That's there's right to it. It makes sense, but it's still illegal. You know what I mean? Like
I
they
don't
want to
care.
be a fan, make the okay. Make
The
I
store
agree.
should.
The prices should be lower.
My point is, when a man comes in who has a family to feed and he can't afford the food, someone should give it to him. And
Okay, well,
that's where Dana's, Dana.
so he should give poor people less prices.
No,
Anyways,
he should just not charge so much, or he
yeah.
should not be,
Well,
not
we
go
shouldn't say
like it's just
he. It's not all him. It's a fucking organization with
he has the power to change it, I'm sure. At the
yeah,
end of the
but it's
day,
also ESPN. I don't know. You're right. They raised the prices. I don't like what they did about the fight nights. How people in America need to do a subscription to watch fight nights. That's
yeah, it's
ridiculous.
ridiculous. But
But
anyways, whatever. Let's move on to my other two picks. I have Julia Villa versus
I disagree.
really?
She fucked me over so bad in her last fight. Forget who it was, but she was like a big favorite, and you told me she's a lock. She's a lock. So I put her in. She really fucked me over. I don't know if it
Yeah,
was her
well,
last fight,
no, it
but
was just
it was one.
that was like Sajara Eubanks's first
Yeah.
good like performance though. Like, and she's been on a tear. So
No,
like
no, I'm
I
not
wasn't
blaming you,
expecting that
but
because beforehand Sajara didn't look so great, and she's clearly made a lot of improvements.
she got
But
a
the
fight
girl,
announced today, I think.
yeah, but the girl she's fighting, I'm not sure if it's Julia or Julia, but it's Stolyarenko, and she's lost to Yana Kutsanyaya, and she lost, I believe, the two fights that she won. That was her first fight in UFC against Yana, and her other two recent fights were both split decisions. I don't even think she won both of them, but she's not great. I think Julia will win this fight, and that's why she's my fourth lock.
Yeah, I would bet on her. I
Third
just don't
lock.
think she's a lock.
I
Okay,
think
your
she
final
is.
lock.
So I wouldn't consider this a lock. I think Holland will win, but I'm going to contradict myself here because I'm going to provide the people I have as underdogs that you should bet on. And I'm not saying to bet on all of them in a parlay because that's not smart. But if you want to make multiple parlays or bet on fights individually, these are the underdogs I would take. And if you are doing the parlays, I think you should go with the locks and then put in one of the underdogs and do the locks again, another of the underdogs, and so on. So the underdogs I have are Derek Brunson, as we talked about. He definitely has a chance. He's arguably a better wrestler, worse jiu-jitsu because Kevin Holland is a jiu-jitsu specialist training under another jiu-jitsu specialist in Trevor. What's his last name?
Who?
His trainer, Kevin Holland's.
Oh, the guy who's on. Wait, you're talking about what's his name? The guy who was on Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
the guy who fought.
I'm asking for his name. I know who it is.
The guy who fought Anderson Silva.
Yeah,
Luter.
Travis Luter.
Travis Luter. Yeah.
So, yeah, he's training under Travis Luter, who's an incredible jiu-jitsu, especially for an American. And Kevin Holland is near to getting his black belt. I mean, look what he did to Jacare. I mean, obviously Jacare made a mistake, but still, it's just an interesting fight. Brunson, I think, has a really good chance. I honestly think it's a pick 'em. And then again, we talked about it earlier. Brad Riddell, great defensive wrestling. That's literally half of City Kickboxing's training resume. It's defending takedowns, getting up from the ground, and striking. And then on top of that, you have Max Griffin, who has a lot of potential, but he never seems to follow through. He got that lucky
Mike
shot.
Perry.
Yeah, but I mean, apparently Jake Paul did too. So
right.
regardless, I think that the person he's fighting has a chance. Keenan Song. He what was it? His last fight against damn, I was looking at it earlier, but he's good. Like he's not bad. And Max Griffin is so unreliable. I think the only reason he won his last fight is because he destroyed the guy's ear. You know, do you remember that, the
Uh,
hanging ear?
yeah, I still think he won the fight though.
Yeah, well,
He did.
Keenan Song got a knockout in his first fight against Callan Potter, who's no punk. He is really good at takedowns, and he did get him to the ground. But Max Griffin's probably going to be striking for the majority of the fight. So with that being said, Song has a chance. Again, these are just underdog picks. I'm not saying that
Yes.
they
Not
are
don't do
definitely
all of
going
them
to
at
win.
once, but yeah.
Yeah, and then the last one, who I think
But there's good
maybe
value.
yeah, the last one who I think is Song's the worst
Yes.
underdog out of the few, but the last one I have is Leonardo Santos. I don't remember the last time he's lost a fight. He's 41 years old, but he's so good. And he's going against Grant Dawson, who has incredible
Yeah.
wrestling. He's been a prospect for a long time. But Grant Dawson has had some pitfalls in the UFC. I don't think he's lost. I could be wrong. I'm checking that right now. But on the feet, Leonardo Santos definitely has a chance, and he's incredible on the ground too. But yeah, Grant Dawson, incredible
Leonardo
wrestler.
Santos is Leonardo
Yeah,
Santos is so good. This guy, he's like in his he's like in his upper 30s, I believe. But he
41.
knocked out Kevin Lee, right?
Yeah, in
He knocked
2016,
out Kevin Lee.
2018.
Yeah, he's like 7-0 in the UFC. He just
Yeah.
fights once a year. Like he's won 7 in a row, and no one's talking. It's ridiculous. He deserves a top 50, but whatever.
So and he's
It's not
plus
like Kevin
160.
lost this guy. Yeah, it's great value. Anyways,
Exactly.
I think that's it. It was a good show. Good fights this weekend. The weekend after is stacked, and we will get to that next episode. Yeah, this was another Thursday we came to you, but Cole was in Toronto, so it was another.
Hey, I was right. I said Thursday. You said Wednesday. So
What do you want to do? You want to do Wednesdays or Thursdays? Okay.
Wednesdays.
Okay. Wednesdays. See you next
Awesome.
Wednesday, guys. Thank you.
Guys. Peace. Crickets.
Nope, not this time. End it right away when that. Okay, end the recording.
Crickets.
What?